Okay, I think we're live. Okay. Good afternoon to all our viewers. Thank you to all of you for finding the time to visit today's webinar. My name is Crystal, and I am your moderator for today. I am from the senior seminar class for ADP faculty. Before we start with today's webinar, I would like to check if all of you could hear me. If yes, could you type a yes in the comment box? In case of any technical issues such as video lagging, you cannot hear us, you may reach out to us via the comment feature, or you could drop me or our classmate Girtana or Desmond a text. Alternatively, you could try to refresh your browser. That will most probably also help with the cases. Let's give our viewer a few seconds to let us know that they're able to hear us. Hi everyone, can all of you hear us? If you could hear us, please type in the comment box. Okay, I see some response in the comment box that says they could hear us. So in this case, let's proceed. Before we start with today's session, I would like to introduce our speaker of the day, Mr. Eason Lau Coxern. Mr. Eason is an experienced licensed counselor who is currently working in a private school. Thank you so much, Mr. Eason, for agreeing to host this talk with us. I believe our viewer for today's will definitely benefit a lot from your sharing session today. Hi, Mr.
Yes.
Eason. Would you like to say a hi to our viewers from YouTube?
Yes. Hi, guys. Yes, I am Eason. So I'm currently is a counselor in a private school. Very happy that I have a chance to share things to you guys at this YouTube channel.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eason, for your self-introduction. With that, I would like to pass the session to Mr. Eason. Mr. Eason, the floor is yours.
Hi. Yes. Today we are share about emotional response after MCO. So, how do you guys feel during MCO? You may because some of you may be isolated alone, some of you may be with family, but this is how I feel during MCO. I feel like afraid of going out. I feel anxious of my work. Of course, here I put study because all of you are study, right? So because I feel anxious of work because it's challenging work from home, and I believe everyone here also feels challenged study at home, like a lot of attraction and feeling lonely because stay home for too long and always gone through about social media, and you feel like other people have know that how they share their story about what they do during MCO, but you feel like yourself not doing anything, feel like no progress. So you feel useless. You feel like worried about how people judging you. Things that why you are so boring, not doing anything in during MCO. So you afraid of connecting people. Those feelings will make you feel anxious, worried, and when you're going in out, you will started to have those feelings. So, how do you feel after MCO? And those feelings that I just mentioned, when you when after MCO, you will feel like more exaggerate because it's you going to face the society again for like so long. Okay. And what is social anxiety? Social anxiety is a long-term and overwhelmed fear of social situation, meaning that you will feel anxious during a social event or before you have to go out with a social event, you already start to think or imagine what will happen, and those thoughts will make you very anxious, and you'll start to avoid the social events. When you go into the social events, you will feel like you want to escape from the social event, and you can't feel peace during the social event, and that's have a term called social anxiety. Okay, and before MCO, we already have the term social anxiety, and it maybe come from family history, or you have some negative experience about in a social events. For example, maybe you experience bully in secondary school, and those experience may make you feel like you don't want to go out, or you face a group of people, you will start worries and afraid. Okay. Beside that, new social or work demand also will make you feel anxious because it's uncertain, it's new to you, so that you will feel anxious. That will cause you feel worried, afraid during the social situation, or you will, and I think a lot of people will care about their appearance. So if you feel like always people see, pay attention on your face, pay attention on your appearance, and those also will cause anxious. You will think that what's wrong on your appearance, or circumstances before after MCO, people will feel anxious because they have isolated for so long and avoid social contact for so long, so that people are start worries about going out, what will happen. And because so long, like no contact, your friends, your family will make you feel like awkward when you contact back your family and friends. Another reason is about worries about COVID-19. So you are worried about whether you will get COVID-19, or or suffer from COVID-19. So you are very cared about social distancing or others SOP. The last but not least, you will feel anxious during social circumstances after MCO is because uncertainty. You are not sure about what will happen. You're not sure about whether you will face people who are not vaccinated, who have COVID-19, or who have not COVID-19. So those thoughts will make you very, very worried, and until you feel very anxious in every social circumstances. When pandemic increase, social anxiety is normal, just like what I explained just now. So it's okay that avoid hug until you feel like it's safer, or for your personal, it's okay that you avoid handshaking or uh, others physical contact. But you must understand the difference between safety and contact. You can avoid
Mr. Eason, I think we're losing you. Hi, hello, Mr. Eason. I think Mr. Eason is having some technical problem. So we lost connection with Mr. Eason. I think he is trying to rejoin. So please give Mr. Eason a few minutes or a few seconds to rejoin. So while we're waiting for him, I would like to check with our viewers, how is all of you doing? Have you personally experienced any social anxiety getting back into the society now that everything is starting to open up? Or what is the biggest challenges that you have faced trying to assimilate back to the new norm, considering that now social events are opening back. So what is the biggest challenge that you personally felt was most impactful for you? Perhaps you could drop it in the comment feature so we could sort of have a discussion in the meantime of waiting for our speaker, Mr. Eason, to get connected again. We would also like to let all of you know that this session is a throughout ongoing Q&A session. So if throughout the session you have any questions, you could drop it in the comment box and we will address to your comments or your question. If you're too shy, you can also let us know and then we will help to address your question. I think our speaker is back. Let me add him back. Hi,
Yeah,
Mr.
sorry, just
Eason. I
hi.
think we
Sorry,
lost you for
sorry.
a second. So sorry
Yes,
about. No worries, no
sorry,
worries.
sorry for the connection problem. So I continue to share.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. This happens. No worries. We understand.
Okay. So yes, so we must differentiate that what is safety and what is anxious. So until you the anxiety come to very extreme or your fear has come to very extreme, our body will respond a sudden. So this response is called fight or flight response. So the symptom will be like a racing heart, a both fits, dilated pupil, swallow, rapid breathing, tense muscle. So the most response that you will notice is you will blank a second, you can't do any response at that moment. So after that, you will respond, you want to fight or flight. So in this situation, what we can do is usually is do a deep debriefing, deep debriefing, sorry, deep debriefing, and let us feel relaxed so that we can decide what should we do for the next step. But this is only go to very extreme so that only will be respond. But in our situation, if after MCO, I think probably what we will feel is whether we'll feel anxious or awkward. This is more like the feeling that we will face during after MCO. So, for example, you will feel awkward because of social distancing as you follow SOP. Not means that other people will follow SOP also. So, for example, you go to shopping mall, you take a lift, you care about your surrounding. You make sure is you have the social distancing, but others people not really care. So when you move forward a bit, the person also move forward a bit, so you will feel awkward at that point of time, and due to the physical contact, you want other people want to handshake with you, and you feel like it's not safe for handshaking. So at that moment, you or the person will feel awkward because the handshaking is not given response. And besides, you worry about gathering and not sure who got vaccinated or not vaccinated. Um, so a lot of questions, a lot of fear, a lot of anxious inside, and make the situation very awkward. So yes, below there are some tips for you to help you to to deal with the situation. So here are the signs of social awkward. So first, you are not being understands other suspect situation or how to behave. Like usually, handshaking is very normal, but before MCO or before the COVID-19, it's very normal that we handshake each other. But right now, handshaking somehow is um, not safe. So in this situation, we actually don't know how to behave, and you are cause social awkward and feel like you have somehow become oversensitive. For example, that after you shake handing, you immediately do some hand sanitizer on your hands. Seems like too worried about COVID-19 or yes, or overreacting to things that not seems to borders others. For example, others really don't care about the whether it's too close to you or not close to you about the social distancing, but you seems like overreacting about it or wanting to be around others people, but you finding hard when you actually to spend time with them. So, for example, they have gathering in your house, but you always bear in mind that the SOP and keep spreading around the hands the the hand sensitizing or spreading around the detox to make like more safety. That's well kind of like social awkward, and you feel more self-conscious than usual. Means that you're more aware about you're more conscious about surrounding. So you are more conscious about whether this person got vaccinated or not vaccinated, whether this person coughing is because of COVID or not COVID. Okay, so avoid things that you use to enjoy, such as phone call or meeting or meet up for activity. For example, you enjoy meeting friends in restaurant, but after MCO, you may not enjoy again because you worried, right? So that you tend to avoid going out for dining. So making excuse for doing things such as say too tired. So those signs may be show that now you're experiencing social awkward. How to dealing with social awkward or anxious? So make a point of having conversation about social distancing, even if they feel awkward. So if you really care about the social distancing, you may just tell the person or the stranger care about the social distancing. Make sure that they really is have distance from you. So you also need to take care more about have the aware about your previous social routine may be permanent change. For example, you like to go shopping with friends, but now it's COVID-19. You um, you may not able to enjoy much with friends go to shopping. So make suggestion or negotiate when you feel like not comfortable. So this is the most important thing. When you feel like you're not comfortable, do share to the person to make sure that do something to help you feel comfortable. How to face society again? Okay, so is afraid that, for example, is afraid that is you guys going back to school, right? So when you decide to going out to go back to school, you can try to make a point of leaving the house, even go for a walk, to make sure that you feel okay to going out, and that before you really go back to school, you can go to school to walk around, and then um, make sure that you get back the familiar feelings about your school. And also the last point I mentioned before is make suggestion on negotiation when you don't feel comfortable. Yes. And the next step is social skill. Why social skills is important during after MCO? Because after MCO, you return to society is quite a long time. You may not have face-to-face social with other people, so social skill may not familiar again. So we need to practice back the social skill that we used to have. So yes, maintaining the conversation with others people, even you feel awkward. So if the person is too near about you, don't really have social distancing. You can remind the person to have social distancing, and after that, you just maintain communicate with the person. Okay, or you really mind about the social distancing, or whether the person not wearing mask, and you very bothered about it, you can make joke about the situation and make it like relaxing, but you can remind the person that actually they should mm, do away the SOP and pay attention of what other people say, or will make you don't really focus on what don't really focus on the awkwardness. Okay, and also practice a little amount of time effort. So before you really plan to go to a social events, you may start to have video call with your friends, or video call to make some plans, so that you may feel less awkward when you really face to face with your friends. Embrace being awkward instead of fight again. It's by mentioning the elephant is in the room. So meaning that yes, we know that it's awkward in the point of time due to any reason, due to COVID-19 stuff like that. Just that it's okay to be awkward, okay, and don't really make the awkwardness is so obvious during the social situation. And yes, this is the next skills for you to dealing with social awkwardness and social anxiety is self-compassion. Why self-compassion is a good thing to dealing with um, social anxiety and social awkwardness is because self-compassion is want us to do good to ourselves and also do good to others people. Just like the quotes here, self-compassion is simply giving the same kindness to ourselves that we could give to others. And also the quote is beside, as I get older, the more I stay focused on the acceptance of myself and others and choose compassion over judgment and curiosity over fear. So self-compassion will make you feel that doing good to yourself and doing good to others, so that you may not care about how other people judging you, and you may not that care about um, how other people uh, see you as a bad person. Yeah. How to practice compassion. How to practice compassion. Yes. So for that, you will realize that your social limit. You may you may swift that. So what is your social limit? For example, um, your social limit is like 10%. So if you more than 10%, you may negotiate with your friends, so that yeah, you may negotiate with your friends. So maybe you have gathering only for 10%, okay, or acknowledge that it's okay to not have social energy for what you need to do, and take breaks. So if you feel like your social energy is too much, uh, your social energy is too less and it's okay to take a break. Just that you need to know that whether you are avoiding the social situation or you just because of safety and do good to yourself. Okay, and realize that some aspect of your old life might not be ideal and it's okay to let them go. So it's okay that you feel like yourself is not that good, or you realize you already accept that, and it's okay even other people say anything. You, for in compassion, do good to yourself, you just let them go. Avoid taking on too much social tasks all at once. Your ability to manage them has been reduced. Yes, so do mind that you don't really take so much of social tasks, so you only based on taking the social tasks based on your ability, so that your social energy will be safe and you may have the social energy to deal with other social situations. Set boundaries. This is the most simple. Telling people that what you really care, and it's okay to let them know that what you're able to handle. And don't make assumption about what other people feel comfortable with or what other people know about you. If you think about that, you may not express yourself, and this will cause you feel anxious because you are think that this is the basic things people should know. So if people don't do it in this way, you may feel anxious or awkward. So if you have any ideas, you want to share it out and do share. Have empathy for yourself and other people if things are awkward at first. So it's okay to being awkward, just that need to have empathy to dealing with your the situation and make the awkward less awkward. Yeah. So as we mentioned about social skill and also about self-compassion, the one thing is in the social situation is we always care about the surrounding. It's called self-conscious. So if we less aware about ourselves or less aware about what happened around you, you may feel less awkward. so one so if you have social anxiety or social awkward, one of the key is to overcome your symptoms, is to learn how to make more confident and less critical of yourself. So when you have social conscious, not only do you make your anxiety symptom worse, but you also make it harder to be aware of what is going on around you. This cause you do think that others people are judging you negatively. In reality, people may not paying attention at all. They may see it different thing and not really focusing on you. So it's okay that be less aware when you feel anxious or you feel awkward that time. So it's easy to understand that being self-conscious make you feel more anxious. So if you quite another task to make a change and become more outward focused, instead one of the antidotes of being self-conscious is to focus your attention outwards instead of inwards. So in this situation means that you care about the social distancing and you feel like it's awkward at that moment, and the person don't really aware, you may just transfer the attention to other thing and make you feel like less anxious and awkward. So how to be less self-conscious? Realize, realizing the disadvantage of being self-conscious. So yes, just now I mentioned before, being self-conscious sometimes you will feel like less confidence and you are always critical yourself. So being self-conscious, they feel disadvantage. After realizing this, you may practice to how to be less self-conscious and practice switching perspective. So practice switching perspective means that you not only able to focus on yourself, you also able focus to outsource out what you always are able to focus on outwards also. Yes. So yeah, and realize that other opinions is less important. That will help you more anxious, help you less anxious and less awkward during the social situation. And last but not least, um, you we need to the last thing we should do is validate our emotion as we preparing to re-enter the world and the workplace or a group of friends or the broader community. Is okay to feel like anxious or awkward or sad, any emotion, but you are not alone in this emotion. As you go about anxious or afraid, you do tell your friends you feel anxious or afraid. They will help you, or not, they will help you, or after expressing out those emotion, you will feel better. Yes. And there's quotes for the last. Sometimes the worst place you can be is in your head, actually. Not so that what actually make you feel anxious or awkward is actually your head, and it causes how you feel. So if you turn the perspective and you turn the perspective to see it differently, your feeling also may be changed. Yes. Thank you. Here is my slide. I think Crystal, you mute yourself.
Oh no, so sorry. Okay, okay. Can all of you hear me now? I think I have unmuted myself. Yeah, I think I am audible. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much again, Mr. Eason. Thank you for the very wonderful, very impactful, and very informational sharing. I believe all our viewers who attend today has learned a lot of new things, new knowledge today that will definitely help them when it comes to managing their emotional going back into the society. I hope all our viewers today has enjoyed this amazing webinar session by Mr. Eason. If you do, we will really appreciate your responses in the comments. So before the end of this session, let's proceed to the Q&A session. Mr. Eason, here are some of the questions that was sent by the viewers during the session. So is it okay
Yes.
for us to start with the Q&A?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So for the Q&A session, we have a question by Snazzy. I am so sorry if I butchered your name. So we have a question by Snazzy. The question was, any advice if I'm awkward with my own family? I think awkward as in
Um,
socially awkward. Yeah.
yeah, okay. If you awkward of your about your family, I suspect it's because of MCO or not MCO. If not because of MCO, I think if I mean it's before MCO, I think what we can do is really talk about the feeling with your family and see what really goes wrong. Okay, if after MCO you worries about the you worries about safety and and about the SOP and afraid of sorry, get COVID-19, what we can do is set a rules of your
I
SOP in your as in your house, so everyone follow and less likely to get COVID-19. Safe and
I think Mr. Eason is breaking up from my
sorry.
end. Is it also breaking up for the rest of the viewers? Mr. Eason, I think you're breaking up for us. Hi, Mr. Eason.
Hi, I'm here.
I
Wait.
think you're breaking up for us. Once, let me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of technical issue for today. So sorry to all of you that there's so much technical issue, and thank you for bearing with us throughout this technical difficulty. Give us a few seconds while Mr. Eason get himself connected again. In the meantime, if you have any question, feel free to drop them in the comment feature, and then we will address to it shortly. Okay, hi,
Hi.
Mr. Eason, welcome back.
Yes. Yeah. Just now I mentioned about before MCO and after MCO, right? Yes. Before MCO is you should talk about the social awkwardness to your family. If after MCO you worry about COVID-19, you can set your own SOP in your own house and follow the SOP. You will feel more safe, so that you will feel less awkward to your family. Yes.
Totally agree. Setting SOP in the house is definitely one of the good way to make sure you and your family is also safe. For example, try to avoid crowding
Yeah.
together. If needed,
And
say maybe your dad or your parents who's constantly working outside might have higher risk of getting COVID.
yes.
Maybe wearing masks in the house will also help with feeling the awkwardness or feeling the stress due to COVID.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wearing mask. Yeah, one of the ways wearing mask. One of the way is everyone go home. You can let everyone wash hands and then immediately go to bath. After bath, we can have a movie night. Also, there's no much problem with that. Yeah.
totally agree. It's always to be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Snazzy, I hope that this has explained your question. If you have any other question, you can also drop it in the comment feature, and then we will address to it next. Next question, we have a question from Jasmine. So Jasmine question is that, do you think being emotionally impacted due to high cases, I think she refers to high COVID cases now, should be an excuse for students to continue online classes as opposed to going back to physical classes? So, what do you think from your counselor perspective? Do you think this is a valid reason?
Yes. This is can be a valid reason because the case is very high, and we're not sure about what will happen if we really go back to school, right? And it's really more higher chances to actually um, to get COVID if we go back to school. But as counselor, I will encourage people to have back your norm of life, because if always stuck at home and always be at home and do and is actually not good for mental health also. Yeah. So what I can suggest is try to step out your house, whether go for a walk first before you really want to go back to school. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, your concern is valid. Just that I encourage go back school to enjoy the school life, because the school life is actually fun and unforgettable. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Eason, for answering Jasmine's question. Jasmine, I hope that I have answered your question. Adding on to Mr. Eason, we can't always run away from the problem. We might
Yes.
feel stressed out, but when we get exposed to it more, you will
You
start
will
to
feel
realize
get
that,
used to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, you will
Yes,
feel
it's
get
good.
used
Yeah.
to it, which will also help to overcome this challenge. So even though it might
Yes.
be hard, Jasmine, it's always good to at least try first. But if it's too much to you, definitely seek professional help from a licensed counselor like Mr. Eason himself.
Yes, 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 yes,
Yeah, and I believe your school will definitely have school counselor if you're a student to assist you in this kind of matter. But if you're a parent asking on behalf of your children, I think they do have counselors back in their school, which is more than happy to definitely assist them with such emotional impact due to getting back into the new norm. Jasmine, I
yes.
hope that
That's
answered your
true.
question. If you have any other question, you can drop it in the comment and then we will address to it shortly. Okay, next question. We have a question from Yu Yuan Lam. So her question is that how do you deal with sudden outbursts of rage, especially the ones close to you, emotionally trigger you? I'm not sure that she referred to outbursts of rage because someone else was being anxious of going back and then they couldn't control their emotion. And I think that's what she refers. So, how would you advise for our viewers to deal with situation like that when someone else is actually being impacted on that situation? How can we be as of helpful peer support to people like that?
Okay, so I'm not sure about what is the situation. So means that in my understanding is the person is very angry and is the person is very close to you, right? So in this situation, what we can do is don't make the situation become more worse. For example, this person afraid of going out, right? So we just don't really force the person going out because if going out the person emotion may not able under our control. Yes, so just wait until the person calm and then just try to talk to them about the situation. Yeah.
Yuan, I'm so sorry if I butchered your name. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I hope that this has answered your question. If it does not, feel free to also like drop us another question. But it's definitely a good advice because it's always bad to push someone to do something they're not comfortable with. Giving them time,
Yes.
understanding their boundaries will help them and also help you because you don't want to ruin the relationship you have with a person that's really really close to you. Thank you so much for the question, Yu Yuan. Next question. We have a question by ZZ. So ZZ question is, but I'm still anxious with friends even online. How to unwind and talk more comfortable?
You mean that even online, you still feel anxious when meeting friends? For a counselor, I feel curious about the reason that you feel anxious. Okay, but okay, so I'm not sure that what is the situation to make you feel anxious, but it's normal that, for example, right now I'm facing the camera screen. I also feel anxious, so it's okay to be anxious. Just that we should find out the reason that we should find out the reason that we anxious about. For example, you may anxious about how your friend thing to make you feel good or look good from the camera, and this may help you to less anxious. Yeah, because I'm really not sure about what happened, but the thing I can say is you can um, try to be more confident when you talk with your friend online.
Zizi, I hope that answered your question. If you would like to provide us with a bit more context as of why you feel anxious, for example, that will probably help us to answer your question better. But being confident and you know understand that it's okay will probably also help to reduce your anxious. Thank you, Mr. Eason. That's a very, very useful advice that I think a lot of us will benefit from it, especially even me myself. I often feel really anxious when I have to talk to new people, let it be online or face to
Yeah.
face. Yeah, so being confident will definitely be useful in this case. We have another question by Yui Yuan. Her question was, they said time heals your emotional wound or pain. What are your thoughts on this, and um, how does the aspect of time actually heal someone, especially in times like this?
Okay. So yes, I would say time heal the emotional wound, but the another thing is whether you can let the wound recover, or whether you ready to let put down the emotion, the bad experience that you have. If you always remember the experience and don't really let it go, or don't really do something with it, so how much time the experience still there. But if you're ready to do something, and ready to talk to your I would say counselors, or your friends, or ready to do something with it, yes, I would say time help us heal the emotional wound. Yeah.
Thank you, Yuan. I hope that has answered your question. Because of the constraint of time, we're just going to take about two more questions. So sorry, Mr. Eason, for dragging it a tiny bit. We have two. We're going to take two more questions from the
It's okay.
floor. Okay, so the second last question we have is from Angela. So Angela question is, what would your advice be for those who are impacted with pandemic and has to be quarantined at home?
Okay. So for those affected in pandemic and need to quarantine at home, I will advise that, because you have as students, I would say that you have also not that free, right? Because you still need to follow your schedule for class. So you do the routine you should have to do daily, even you are in quarantine. So that will make you feel less worried about whether you get it COVID or not. And the rest of the time you can do exercise, do something you like watching a movie, help you relax yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
Angela, I hope that has answered your question. Thank you so much for your question. Last question for today. We have an interesting name, Curry Pup and Quay. So interesting name. Perhaps it's a curry pop seller. I'm not quite sure. How do I?
Yeah.
The question by curry pop is that how do I deal with anxiety with online interview nowadays? I'm used to physical ones, so having to do it online makes me feel more nervous. Like maybe my camera might be blurry. So yeah, that's you feel anxious about some things
Hmm.
when it's
Yeah.
online.
Yes, actually, I do. Based on my own experience, actually, I have same worry about for the similar thing. For example, for this webinar, I also worry about how my on internet goes wrong, right? So I prepare another my Wi-Fi data and also my workspace Wi-Fi. Make sure that I have if my internet goes wrong, I have another backup. So it's good that you do more preparation and make sure that if something went wrong, you have another backup for you. Yeah. So you for job interview, I would say that you prepare more, you will feel less anxious. Yes.
Curry curry pop. I
Yeah.
hope that
And
has explained your questions.
good luck for your interview.
Yes, good luck. All the best with your interview. If you're a Shaggy student, If you are a student, please utilize the resources we have in our student affair and also in our college. Those are free. Please utilize it. I personally utilize it myself as a student. So, thank you so much again, Mr. Eason, for answering all the questions that our participant have.
Yeah.
Thank you so much also to agree to this webinar. Before the end of today's webinar, I would like to request for everybody's kind, all our viewer kind help, kind assistant to fill up a evaluation form with this Google form, so we could improve further in our next event. The link towards the Google form has already been shared in the chat box. Please let me know if you're not able to fill that up. Okay, so with that, that marks the end of today's webinar. Thank you again, Mr. Eason, and thank you for all our viewers for taking out 1 hour of your time today to join us. I really hope what Mr. Eason has shared today will really benefit all of you in the long run, and that we can all feel better going back into the new norms and the society, especially since now they're reducing the SOP, right? Starting from 1st of April. So that marks the end of today's webinar. Thank you once again. If I have any language that has offended anyone, I apologize in advance. And I hope that I could see all of you soon. Thank you. Stay safe and stay happy going back into the new norm. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.